So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to AI in 15, where we try and get something done every weekday morning with AI, so that by Christmas you'll be up to speed, kickstart your new year. My name is Matthew Kershaw. I'm your host. I've had 20 plus years in media content marketing, 6 years in AI, and I help businesses build modern production and creative marketing engines. I help people use AI practically and safely, as you've seen, structure messy workflows, and build roadmaps for businesses towards better quality, speed, and reduced cost. So that's me. But you didn't come here to hear about me. You came here to hear about today's topic, which is all about the legal team says no and what you do in that circumstance. I have quite a few clients where they start to get on the road and then they hit this barrier of the legal team. And the legal team often are overly conservative. That's kind of their job. That's fine. And they do have a point in many cases. So hopefully by the end of this session, you'll kind of have a more nuanced view and also things you can take back to your legal team to go, actually, did you know this? Have you thought about that? And get them kind of a bit more on board, how you can use generative AI safely, navigate copyright risk, and keep your IP safe. And I am not a lawyer, so please don't construe this as legal advice, but it is stuff you can take to your legal team or just think about yourself. Um, so yeah, where there's a hit, there's a writ. Basically, the background to this is there've just been lots and lots of really, really big lawsuits and copyright infringement claims against pretty much any of the big AI players, and that's created kind of a level of fear. And what we're seeing now is that that fog is starting to lift. There's still a lot of these going through, but what you are seeing is payments being made. So Anthropic has settled a massive lawsuit, 1.5 billion. Some of them have been closed. I think 11 Labs reached an agreement with one of the people who was suing them. Warner, I mean, this is really interesting. Warner settled a lawsuit and launched a joint venture on the back of it. So I do think some of these lawsuits are to do with a kind of jostling for power about who's going to be in charge of these things. Anyway, that's the background. And what that creates, this is Kelsey Farrar. She's a very good AI media lawyer in the UK. I can introduce anyone to her that needs input. We're navigating AI without a clear sense of where we stand. Teams are unsure whether to adopt AI, how to manage risks, what to say publicly about it. The pressure is real, especially when others seem to be moving faster. I think that's a good summary. So I'm going to run through with you today the three main questions I get asked, a little bit about where we are with the current legal situation. We'll talk a bit about things that are beyond legal, really, but just about reputation and responsibility, and I'll give you those practical takeaways at the end. So the three questions I get asked are, will I own the output? If I generate something with AI, can it be copyrighted? Can I own it? The second one is, has something gone into this, training model that's a bit dodgy, and that I'll end up being legally liable for infringing someone else's IP when I make something with that model? And then lastly, this security issue around, will other people be able to access what I put into my AI, and will that infringe, potentially I'm giving away trade secrets, confidentiality, might even infringe my IP. So I'll go through those kind of one by one. Let's look at the first one first. Can you own material that has been created by an AI? So in this year, there was a case in the US, Thaler versus Perlmutter. Work created entirely by AI with no meaningful human input isn't eligible for copyright protection. And it's thought very likely that that will be adopted here in the UK. However, the big, big thing to watch out for here is that the UK Intellectual Property Office also issued a statement saying an AI assisted work can be copyrighted in the UK as long as it is the co-creation of human and an AI tool, and provided the human's creative input is substantial enough to meet the originality threshold. And we've talked a lot about using your head and not just taking the first answer and evolving that your prompt and getting more and more into it and co-creating with your AI. So I think if you're doing that, you'll be covered. So the answer is yes, but obviously be careful to document that, the amount of human input. And of course, the output has to still be original. So, no matter how carefully you create it, if you end up with creating Barbie or Doctor Who or some big piece of IP, Miffy, it's still not, you're not going to be covered. Um, has something gone into training a model which will make me liable, legally liable for infringing someone's IP? So yeah, can I be held liable? So really, really big landmark ruling here in September. UK High Court said that model weights, and model weights are, by the way, the thing that kind of makes the images, aren't copies of the copyrighted work. So therefore, using an AI model trained on existing images doesn't automatically make your outputs infringing. So this is a big kind of way forward. Additionally, there has been no public, well-documented case where an end user of a generative AI tool was sued solely because the AI they used was trained on unlicensed data or images. So I would say the answer here is the risk is very, very low. And also there are some mitigations you can put in place around this, which we'll look at now. One of which is that if you use the right tools, particularly from the larger, more reputable players, um, they will offer you, or you can get indemnity from them. They will indemnify you against, using their model and being sued for using it. So, and the reason why this is typically, so you look at Adobe, Getty, Google, they have trained their models using licensed material. Adobe already owns Adobe stock. They've used that to make their image generation tool. So there are some caveats to all this, which you'll see on this next page. It's a bit much to look at. Don't look at it now. I'm going to put this page in the notes in the replay. But typically, the thing that you do have to do is you do have to have a kind of enterprise level account, and you have to follow sort of certain, obvious rules about not misusing it. So that's another thing you can do to protect yourself. But of course, the old rules still apply. An infringing image is still an infringing image. I made this image with a prompt that didn't mention Star Wars, a sci-fi baddie all dressed in black with a black cape and a black shiny plastic helmet that covers his face. He holds a shiny technological sword that glows red, and it produced this. Now, as I said, like Disney are going to have something to say about that, regardless of how innocent I was. You don't want to put stuff out there that's infringing. The other thing it shows me is that Seedream, which is I think a Chinese image generation tool, undoubtedly has trained their tool on infringing items. By the way, when I tried to do this with Nano Banana, it wouldn't let me do it because it knew that there was a copyright issue. Lastly, will other people be able to access what I put into an AI infringing my IP and or confidentiality? And this is caused by a case back in 2023 where a bunch of Samsung staff put stuff into an AI chatbot, a large language model, and then it surfaced somewhere else. Somewhere else was able to see that the content they put in. Um, it's noticeable that the last time this happened on a big scale was 2023. So I think two things have happened. I think the tools have got better. I think also people are just bit more sensible about how they're using them. You do still see people, just as you would with any online tool, any cloud technology, your email, your Google Drive, your Teams. There are hackers obviously out there hacking stuff. So, but I think that's a separate case because you're always going to get that. So what I would say here is like protect yourself. I don't know if you know this, but on pretty much every tool, this is ChatGPT, there's a little button that says improve the model for everyone and basically turn that off. What they mean by improve the model for everyone is we can train on your data. You don't want that. So rule number one, turn this off. It's available. Similar things are available on all the large legitimate chatbots. In ChatGPT, it's in settings, data controls, improve the model for everyone. And then just the obvious stuff, really. If you've got something a bit sensitive, use temporary chat mode. It sort of disappears after the chat is finished. Delete your chat history if it's got something in it you think is sensitive. Generally review the privacy settings, enable multi-factor authentication, that is going to protect your account just generally. So there's some kind of just really obvious stuff. And just generally, I would say if you've got external data, it doesn't really matter, i.e. external data, stuff you scraped off the internet, a company report, it's safe. If you've got internal or custom data, particularly, what they call PII, personally identifiable information, you don't want to put it into a kind of open or public LLM. Now, there's a bit of debate about what open/public means. I'm pretty sure that this makes it not open. But for you to work out and make your decision about where you want to be on that risk factor. What a lot of companies do, they offer, certainly if you have an enterprise level LLM in your business, that's definitely safe, that's definitely closed. Um, so there's a bit of a gray area there. And then lastly, we come to reputation. The public out there have issues with AI. Let's not, ignore it. They think it's, oh, AI generates false information. It's fueling global warming. It's stealing other people's work. It's driving people mad. People have concerns about it. So this isn't really a legal thing, but I think it's important. It's like you need to make a call on, given your work and your audience, which way you want to go. So two extremes examples. One was Anthropic, who are an AI company, and they have their chatbot Claude. They did a beautiful, beautiful ad with Mother called Keep Thinking. Absolutely everything in it is human and humanly done. To the extent that they had a massive credits list at the end with all the people who were involved in making the ad. So they've gone one way. The other way, Kalshi, which is an American trading app, huge, getting huge now. They did an ad just before the NBA finals, and it's all AI, like 100% AI, and it is the most intense, mad advert you will ever see. But for their audience, that was fine. They didn't, people who are doing using these kinds of apps, they're like, yeah, whatever, bring it on. If it's funny, then I don't care that it's AI. So here are my 8 practical takeaways based on all of that. Record your input as you're doing stuff. Obviously, the chatbots themselves kind of keep a history, but you might want to go a bit further. Check your outputs. You still are liable. If you create something that's infringing, you're still liable. Um, use where you can use tools that offer indemnity, because that will give you some security. Obviously, protect your data. Turn that sharing button off. Try not to use unlicensed material. Don't try not to put stuff you don't own into the bot into an engine, because there'll be more likelihood that what you get out is unlicensed as well. Be clear on ownership. So particularly if you run an agency or you're a client, be really clear who's owning it in your legal documentation, where the liabilities lie and where the ownership lies. Be really clear on that. You can see it's all evolving. Keep up with the case law. Just do a scan every now and again. And train your teams in this. So if you have a team, train them, not only train them to sort of stay safe, but be seen to be doing it. Document the fact that you trained it, because that will help you in the event that something goes wrong. Cutting edge reference here, but be careful out there. So tomorrow we have our special guest, Paul Thomas, who's currently lying on a sofa somewhere. He'll be making music with AI, so that's going to be a bit of fun. Um, I will see you all tomorrow. Obviously, tell your friends. It's wolf.co/sign up. It's wolf with two O's.co/sign up. And you can also use this QR code. So I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.